Okay, and I think we're live. So I'm going to go back to 0 seconds and we'll hit pause.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to unpause in 3, 2, 1. Alright, so I am here with Henry Ling, or Animostas, our 2v2 Protoss player, going to cast the games between Columbia and Nassau. So in the lower left-hand corner we have Bargak, our starting player. And who do we have in the lower right-hand corner? There, Henry?
In the lower right-hand corner, we have Primal Moon, who is Nassau Community College's Protoss.
And we've got a Tel'Darim altar game, PvP, which is very notorious for one particular thing. And maybe you can shed some light on this, Henry, being a Protoss player yourself.
Yeah. So basically, PvP for a while depended mostly on the 4 warp gate rush, which essentially revolves around getting 4 warp gates as fast as possible, and just warping in, just overwhelming with units. And so on most maps, the build kind of phased out because you can time your force fields correctly on ramps to block off units. But if you look at the path leading from the main to the natural on this map, it requires 2 force fields to block off, and it's not on the high ground, which means that the only way to play this map is essentially to do 4 warp gate.
Absolutely. And there's people experiment with a lot of different builds, but just nothing really stuck. And if you were to get a build that worked well to defend against 4 gate, it would only work really on this map, so it was kind of just a waste of time, and it was better just a 4 gate, right? Is that kind of your interpretation?
Yeah, basically. There were some newer builds that are starting to develop once, like basically right before this map got phased out of the map pool of tournaments, but nothing really fruitful developed out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we see Bargak going out with the first scout. He's going to scout, looks like, just to his right, and he'll be correct with that scout. Other timings seem pretty similar so far.
Yep.
Now, do you see any variance in the 4 gate, or do you just pretty much see the standard, like some people have a rush 4 gate, or...
Yeah, there's certain variations of it. The typical 4 gate involves getting 1 Zealot, 2 Stalker. Some people will try to do 3 Stalker in 4 gate, and then you can overwhelm the 1 Zealot, 2 Stalker with your 3 Stalker, with a slightly later warp gate timing. And there's all these little variations of it, but some of them hard counter each other, some of them don't do more against others. But for the most part, it looks like the 2 players are going for the same exact thing so far.
Now, I'm interested that this Protoss player from Nassau has not scouted yet. Is that going to speed up his 4 gate a little bit, or is this intentional move?
That's interesting. Actually, you see the Nassau player getting 2nd gas, so it looks like he's doing some kind of build. Oh, and he's getting 2nd gateway too. So what this means is that he's going to go for 3 Stalkers as fast as possible, possibly 5 afterwards. He's going to try to deny Bargak's 4 gate with a very early unit advantage before warp gate hits.
I see. That seems like a really risky move, because if it doesn't work, if he doesn't stop the probe, he's just going to lose the 4 gate, right?
Basically, he's going to have to scout everywhere along his main, natural, and then 3rd base, and look for the proxy pylon. And if he finds the proxy pylon, then he can probably win. But, of course, finding that is nearly impossible, because you can just essentially push across the map with pylons and warp it along the way.
Absolutely. So you would call this maybe a little atypical build from the Nassau player?
I think that this is kind of typical. It happens quite a bit, but really, it's a lot more standard to go for 4 gate, as Bargak is doing right now.
And we know Bargak is a notorious 4-gater. Back in the day, before like a lot of changes were made to the 4 gate, like reducing its time and reducing the sight vision on ramps, it was pretty much 4 gate was one of the standard PvP builds. And so Matt had a lot of practice doing that, and he's an old school player playing for a long time, so he knows probably better than most people, the ins and outs of 4 gates, and he has solid micro across the board. So now we see the first skirmish going on.
Yeah, I just want to quickly mention that what Bargak did that was really smart was that he had his probe on the right watchtower. I would never scout that because it's not along the path between the 2 players. So putting that probe up there was really smart, and then reinforcing the pylon. Now, since Primal Moon hasn't scouted that pylon and he wasn't able to take it out, chances are he's probably going to lose because his 2 warp gates are just now starting.
Absolutely.
3rd and 4th. Yeah.
And Matt got an easy he got a stalker kill with the exchange of a zealot, which puts him ahead in stalker count significantly. So I think at this point, there's very little that Primal Moon can do to catch up.
Yeah, this is essentially a killing blow. Mass is just going to take out these pylons and then eventually he gets gateways. And these gateways just not going to finish.
So we see Matt just picking off pylons now, and this one's going to supply block the player from Nassau. And it's interesting. I think is Tel'Darim a map that you downvote yourself?
Yeah.
I don't think that many Protoss players play it because it's just so different than other maps.
Yeah, it's a total pain to play, especially PvP. People downvote it.
So we see a very short game there, only 6 minutes and 35 seconds. First win goes to Columbia. So thanks for joining the call there, Henry, and we're going to get on to the next 2v2. I think Matt Soik is going to come into that.
All right, great.
What's up?
Hey! Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations to you too.
Thank you, thank you. So for everyone that didn't know, their first player was forfeit, so we are up now 2-0 in the series. And we're now going on to the 2v2. So this will be the final game if they win it, but all 4 matches were played because they are all played simultaneously. So Matt, do you want to open up the 2v2?
Yes, I'm gonna open it up and then just pause it right in the beginning.
Gotcha.
Just let me know when you're good. Oh, wait. No, I don't have the 2v2 yet.
I'm just loading it now, so...
Alright, you sent it to me?
Yes.
Alright, gotcha. Let me just...
I sent you over Skype, I believe.
Okay, that's what it was.
Or maybe I didn't.
Oh, was it in Columbia StarCraft?
One second. It looks like I may have not sent it to you.
Alright, you might have. I just might have. Yeah, you did send it to me. Alright. Alright, we should be good to go in like 20 seconds.
Perfect.
Alright, I'm loading it up. Oh, unable to open replay. What does that mean?
It's kind of weird because it's a non-ladder map, so you might have to download it.
Alright, how do I download it first?
I'm not sure. Did you?
Arcade?
Oh wait, yeah, I think the replay just finished sending it to you, so try to open it again.
Well, Alright, I'll save this one too then. File. This one's not working out too well. I downloaded the last one. Is that one bad?
I'm not sure. Why don't you?
Alright, I'm downloading this one too.
Okay.
Actually, no, it's like trying to open it. No, that's not gonna work. Alright, so I have it in StarCraft, but it's not like downloading.
What happens when you open the replay? It just says failed.
Yeah, it just says unable to open. Oh, wait. We're good.
Okay.
Nice.
So while you're loading, I'm going to talk about this map a little bit. This is one of the new 2v2 maps that the CSL has chosen, which I think was a good choice. They are choosing 2 2v2 maps because the ladder maps are just complete trash all around. And this map has got a lot of interesting features and makes it a pretty good 2v2 map, I think. So just to go over some of the basic features. The 2 player start locations are on opposite ends. They're virtually right next to each other. To get into the main, you have to go through this ramp here. There's 2 openings, and there's also this rock opening here as well. It opens the possibility to wall off here with a forge, but it was some experimentation last night. You can only have a total of 2 buildings, either or 3 buildings: pylon, 2 cannons, or 2 pylons and a cannon, which makes it a little weak to things like roach bus and such like that. The would-be third locations are here. And this is an interesting feature. You can either go for the safe, getting minerals only, or you can go for the more risky, more exposed, getting gas and minerals. So if you expand here, there's only this open space you can come from. But if you expand this way, there's all this space here they can come from. So you have the choice between going minerals only for an expansion or getting the minerals and gas. There are a total of 6 watchtowers, which cover a lot of different areas. And just the size of the map is gigantic. Like, this entire rush distance takes forever to get across. So with some experimentation last night, a 6 pool, for example, you'll have a zealot and a half done before the 6 pool arrives. So very heavy macro map all around. But so Matt, are you ready to go? Should we
Yep,
get this game?
Go. You had 0 out of 0?
Yep.
Or not 0 out of 0, 0 out of 2145.
Yep. So let's do 3, 2, 1, and go. So why don't we do the introduction? So who do we have in the upper right-hand corner?
Alright, upper right we have our red Zerg, Chris Carano, handle Musashi. In the top left we have, go for it.
We have Animostas, Henry Ling, who was previously casting that last PvP. And in the bottom left we have a pink player. Who's that, Matt?
That's our Reflex Zerg. He's diamond player from Nassau Community College. And in the bottom right we have
Spectre, which I think he was silver, and he's from Nassau Community College. So
he's opening 9 pound with the ramp. That is a smart choice.
now on this map in particular, because you can only wall on one ramp, do you think it's worth still walling off your ramp?
Because then you can zone him into the other side at least. Like then there's, because if you stay behind the rocks, you have to have like a quick reaction time to like go to one side as speedlings run through. So if Spectre and Henry wall off their respective sides, I feel like, or obviously Henry isn't, but I feel like it's going to be a little bit helpful for the Zerg.
Gotcha.
And for the Protoss, because then like it's farther for the Lynx to get to their mineral line. Although like Henry is walling in like right next to his Nexus, which I think is probably even a little bit smarter because then Lynx can't get in that way, so he can still zone for his own base, and he's a little bit ahead in economy because he's with the pylon right next to him.
I think you might be right on that too, because if you know, Musashi or Chris, he sees a lot of speedlings, they're doing some sort of speedling all-in, he can put up a spine and he's pretty safe, and he can defend with queens and a spine, whereas Henry really doesn't have that option, so Henry needs to defend for himself, and having a wall was much more beneficial to him than any other set of building placements. So right away we see Chris going for an early pool, looked like an 11 pool.
Henry's pylon was blocked by the drone, did you see that?
Yeah.
That was pretty nifty.
So Henry's gonna have to...
Henry still didn't realize. Dang, that sucks. Sometimes these things just happen.
Looks like he still has time if he puts it down very quickly. Or
yeah, if he was going for Zelda, which usually you do against like PZ, he's gonna have to skip it at this point.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm guessing at this point, to make up for like the Zelda not being there, he's probably gonna end up throwing up a second gateway pretty fast. We'll see though.
So we see pretty standard play. The Zerg player from Nassau is going 14-14, and he'll have fairly quick speed.
Yeah. See if he. Oh, and he's staying in gas. So that means probably going to be either roaches or banelings, right?
Yep, absolutely. Only means those two
He's
things.
taking off now. Alright, maybe not. Maybe that was just
No, that's kind of a style thing. Some people like to get up to 6 to 50 gas, so that way you can have the baneling if you need it. So if you see just an all incoming, you say, okay, I've got enough gas to drop the baneling nest. But you don't need it. It's not that much of a hurt on your economy. But the thing to notice is he hasn't expanded yet, and Chris has his expansion about 75% done. So they, at this point, are kind of committed to doing some sort of aggression because their expansion is going to be so late, their macro is going to be so far behind.
It's interesting that he's still joining up though.
Yeah, I mean, at this point,
Saturating a little bit over.
he's saturating over, and he's going to have a production problem where he's got more resources than he can use to produce.
No, not by too much though, just a couple drones. So if he starts massing links like right now, he'd still be okay. But if not, he's got to do that expansion soon. He's like floating on 600 minerals, I think.
So there's the baneling nest, yeah. That might be more of a defensive baneling nest. He needs to start taking gas right away if he's going to do anything aggressive. Looks like he's going to expand now. But he could have dropped that expansion maybe 30, 40 seconds ago.
Yeah, it looks like he just wanted to be really safe.
So let's have a look.
Too safe, though.
Yeah. Let's have a look over at the Columbia side now. We got Chris's expansion going.
Oh, we got a proxy pawn in the middle of the map.
Oh, we do.
He's doing aggressive. Oh no, he's doing 4-gate. Oh, we should have realized that.
Yeah, he's going 4-gate, so Speedling plus 4-gate, and they're both going to have Banes. I think Henry made the right call. He's getting. Well, he's got
they're
3
not
gates.
actually both going to have change because Reflex didn't put guys back in gas.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that's tough.
So this should be relatively easy hold for them. Chris or Henry is now putting up 4 gates to defend. We got some action going on where the Queen looks like it's going to take some serious damage, but it should be safe. And some skirmish.
Yeah, they're dealing with this pretty well.
Looks like this is going to clean up with very little losses from the Columbia team.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of all far ahead, like all around right now.
Yes, they're far ahead in army, but if the game keeps going on, I don't know. I think it could stabilize very easily. Sure, Chris has his expansion up a little bit earlier, but if you look at the units tab, probe counts, drone counts are pretty similar. Like, our orange Protoss Henry is up by 4, but Chris and the other Zerg are tied. So, yes, their army's bigger, and they've got complete map control, but as the game goes on, their advantage will lessen and lessen.
That's absolutely true. One note here is that Henry is going for his expansion. The Protoss player from Nassau is not going yet, going for Twilight Council instead, which could either mean DTs or Blink. Would be the two options I would assume. But go ahead, sorry.
No, I agree. I'm expecting. Oh, there's the Blake. So yeah.
So Blink's a good choice now. Looks like Henry is going to go robotics facility. If he gets some immortals out, should do pretty well with the Blink.
Yeah, once you get 3 immortals, you're pretty safe. 1 or 2 can get picked off pretty easily, but I mean, they've pretty much. They can hold their ramps really easily. As you can see, Henry puts 1 sentry on each side, and Blink can blink up the ramp, but they have nothing that can break force fields yet. So Lings and Banelings won't be able to help out. So they're definitely very safe on fortified bases. And
So
I think that's why we see our other Protoss taking his expansion, because he knows he can't break the Columbia team right now.
absolutely. So we see they had good vision of the expansion down here. They still, the Columbia team has not seen the expansion from the Zerg player yet, but they have to assume, just based on the time of the game, that the Zerg player did expand. So Chris is going to do some scouting, make sure they haven't taken any thirds yet.
We got the lair about to finish morphing. We're going to see what tech choice for Reflex is going to be. And for Chris, we can see the infestation pit that just finished. So we know it's going to be infestors for him.
That's an excellent choice, considering, especially if they're going Blink Stalkers, but all around I think it's a good tech path. Especially on this map, mutas would be okay, but I don't think they're going to be great because the bases are so well connected, you can't really abuse the immobility of the players very well.
We have the Reflex pick Zerg going for infestation pit, and Henry's floating his observer right over it, so they know exactly what's going on right now.
Good call. And we see Colossus coming out for Henry as well, so they're going to have pretty quick Colossus with range coming out. And if they have any aggression coming against these investors, I think it'll be really tough. So
yeah, Colossus with range can easily hold 4 bases on this map. Once it goes past that, it's going to be a little bit tougher because like it becomes really wide open. But there's no way they're getting broken before getting like a high Colossus investor count. In which case, it should be very safe to take more bases after that.
So we see 5 infestors now coming out for Chris, and let's see what they are.
Yep, I expect we'll see a 3rd base after that, because once you get those 5 infestors, it's pretty safe to just run that growing hard.
Absolutely. And if we have a look at the units count, almost identical drone count, but the probe count is really different. Henry looking at almost double the probe count. So the Nassau team really needs to do something aggressive because they're so far behind in the macro right now. They need to come back with an aggressive push.
Yeah, they need to, but right now all he's got his Stalkers and Sentries, and yeah, that's great versus Zerg, but against Colossus, with like Zealots and Stalkers to back it up, I don't know, we'll see. See if they can make something happen.
And Henry and Chris are scouting excellently. They just scouted the 3rd going down, and immediately they're going to make a move on that.
Yep, great choice. Probably just try to deny that and then move back. We'll see though. They can probably do whatever they want at this point.
Yeah, I mean their army composition looks excellent right now, and the combination of Colossus plus Infestors is so deadly because the army can never engage the Colossus, and the Infestors keep him rooted there. So I think this base is going to go down for sure, and Henry should be targeting those Banelings if he gets a chance. Doesn't look like it's going to matter too much. But here we go. So now we see the army's positioning. Blink Stalker's coming out. Now, a good fungal on those Lings could do a lot of damage. He'd lose almost all of them with one good fungal. Looks like we're just going to have an engagement. Good force fields coming for Columbia.
Nice blink. I mean, if you have fungal abilities, you pick up the Colossus first.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other one after another blink, too. Yeah, the strength in Blink Stalkers is against like 1, 2, possibly 3 Colossus. But once it gets above that, it's pretty tough. So that's why they were able to hold this push. And I do think they'll be able to continue to hold it.
So at this point now they have a choice between either going up the ramp, which I don't think they should do, but maybe they're feeling that
Yeah.
it's no
I mean,
problem.
I just don't like going up the ramp with the Colossus that weak because I'm just gonna lose it.
Yeah. I mean, they're really far ahead, but they're going to lose a lot of heavy gas units now. They're going to lose all those Infestors. They're going to lose those Colossus. And they just didn't need to because they're up 2 bases, actually. They have both this base and this base complete, and they've got far superior tech. They've got a robotics facility with Colossus range, and they could, pump down another robotics facility as well. Chris has got better upgrades. So I think it doesn't matter at this point, but they could have been in much better positions if they just decided not to go up the ramp.
Yeah, it was a small blunder, but they were taking their thirds behind it. Now that the thirds are a little bit exposed, like right now Henry's got 2 Colossus, 5 Stalkers. Chris has, 2 Infestors, 29 Lings. But if they hold off for like another 10 seconds, yeah, they pretty much just won this game.
Absolutely.
More like 30 seconds. They've just got such an economic lead.
Yep, absolutely. And one choice, instead of going these heavy Lings for the Zerg player, is trying to get some Roaches, because essentially all you need to do for the Zerg army is just take damage, because the Colossus are going to be your range damage dealer. The Stalkers are going to do additional damage. You just need to have the Fungals in place, and you need to have Colossus eat him to pieces. So having Roaches just to sit there and absorb damage is really effective.
Yeah, definitely.
And eventually,
that's a good point, because people don't bring that up enough.
The Lings are going to just die so quickly to fungal growth and to Banelings and to Colossus that it's not worth having just a ton of Lings. You have them available for counterattacking, but you don't really want them in your main army all that much.
That is true.
So it looks like they're just going to be taking more bases, which is a good call, forcing the other opponent to attack. And
yeah, we've got Reflex just starting 1-1 for his Roaches. So he's a little bit behind on the upgrade battle. Henry's still 0-0 as well, but he's almost done with 1-1. And he can always chrono boost, so he will be a little bit ahead like for the rest of the game. And then we've got Chris going. He's already got +1 armor, taking +1 melee attack.
And getting +1 armor is a great choice in this position because these Zerglings are going to be able to take 1 Baneling hit without dying immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have like much better control with having +1 armor.
Yeah, that's true. Alright, we see both Chris and our Nassau Protoss going for their 4th. Henry's probably about to take his as well once he breaks down these rocks on the top.
Yep, looks like Henry might be going for that's his 5th there, right? Or no, the 4th, my bad.
Yeah. And our Diamond player wants absolute no harassment coming from this base to the middle left. He's got 6 Spine Crawlers coming up. Right above his hatchery.
Oh, wow.
Actually, no, 5 and then his 4. Yeah, that should prevent any DTs or Zealots. Or Speedlings. Messing with that. I do want to say, I do not like the Nassau's composition. He's still going Stalkers this late in the game. Sure, he's about to finish up +2, which will make the Blink Stalkers, if microed properly, pretty effective. But against Infestors, Colossus, it doesn't quite cut it.
Absolutely.
Even with Zerg's Infestors to back him up, like it's not enough damage, not enough health.
And just a moment ago we saw Infestors trying to burrow and do some sneaky attacks. One thing to do if you're planning on doing some Infestor harassment is send a Ling in first to see what detection they have and where it's placed. If he had sent that Ling in first, he would have seen that Spore Crawler. Hopefully he would have decided not to move out with those Infestors, because he just lost 3 Infestors without really any gain. But
this is Chris, or?
Yeah, that's Chris. So hold that note, we have this hatchery going down to a lot of Blink Stalkers. This is actually a pretty large army of Blink Stalkers, able to do a lot of harassment. So if they abuse the mobility of the Blink Stalkers, they might be able to do quite a bit of damage here.
Yeah. Although he might trap himself. If Henry can get to the bottom of the army, he might get stuck. You do not want to get stuck.
Oh yeah, that's actually going to be such a serious blow.
Yeah, there's the Fungals. Ooh, that might just be GG.
Yeah.
They get to clean up that army.
Let's just look at the unit loss cast there. Just a
We
huge.
have our player trying to go to the top to make a counterattack with Roaches, but yeah, that's just not going to do anything.
Great fungal from Chris. Look at all those Infestors he's got there. That's a total of 18 Infestors. I mean, you just really can't mess with that.
No,
And just, if you look at the unit's loss count, it's like almost double what the Columbia team has lost. So they're just trading so inefficiently here. And at the point, he's got 6 Colossus with +2/+2. They're just going to be so deadly.
You know, pretty much the army right now for the Nassau team is 12 Infestors, which are possibly going to get picked up by Henry Stalkers right here. We will see. Yeah, there go the Infestors. Alright, well, looks like here's another re-app, but I expect to be seeing GG soon here.
Oh, no GG.
Oh, dang.
Oh, dang. Well, the Columbia team played very well there, and I mean, they just outclassed them in pretty much every regard. They held the aggression so well, and they just made every right call, took their expansions ahead of time, and, you know, they just outplayed them pretty hard there. I don't think any tricks or any shenanigans, just better macro, better micro.
Yep. Better unit composition is definitely something good to point out as well.
Absolutely. So we have now 3-0 for Columbia, and that will actually end the match, but we're going to go on to cast John's game, who played 4th against a Zerg player. So I want to give John a call.
Alright, nice. So, see you later.
Good luck with your shower.
Thank you.
Hey,
Hey, what's going on, man?
how's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Hey, how's it going?
So I think you might have the stream open.
I do, I need to turn that off.
Alright, so let me know when you have the game going. I've got it currently loaded up with 0 seconds.
Just 1 second. Alright, and I'm ready to go.
Alright, so let's get this going. So we're going to start in 3, 2, 1.
Go.
So John, I want you to have you introduce yourself up in the right-hand corner.
Yeah, sure. So, playing the top right on GSO Antigua Shipyard, I am the Columbia Terran Sky Blue Penguin.
Alrighty, and in the lower left we have Epicoli, or Epiclua, something like that. The Nassau Zerg playing purple. And one thing to note about GSL Antigua is forced cross positions, so you know that your opponent is going to be crossed to you no matter what your spawn position is.
Yep, that's right. And I think that definitely changes something a little from latter versions where it could be close air, close land. Changes what kind of strategies you can use.
And there are some definite issues with close air, close land, depending on the matchup. Do you have any particular thoughts or preferences when it comes to Antigua playing in the ladder?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the close air can work well for Terran if they decide to siege up the third. The Zerg third is hard to take. With Banshee Harass, if you take out the rock.
Because I don't think he knew that it was forced cross spawn, which is a bit of a shame, but I think if he scouted you anyways, there's not much he could have done differently. But we'll see here. He's going to get his 2 queens out, probably go for a 4 queen opening.
Yeah. And I guess that is the pretty standard opening now for Zergs that, you know, it used to work where they didn't go for the 4 queen opening, and this Hellion Harass did even more damage. So the 4 queen opening is definitely really solid. Good defensive opening in case you get early Marine pressure, early Hellions.
We see that I almost got the block on the factory from landing, but you got it in time. This map is a little bit tough to hold Hellions with just queens, because the wall off is definitely, you can't get it off in time, so you're going to have to wall off kind of your natural area here. So this was a very good map to have early Hellions on, I think, from the available map pool.
Yeah, definitely. It is just, you know, yeah, like you said, it's wide. Even for queens to cover, it's, you know, Hellions are fast. So you want to race around them and get to the drone runs.
So notice here you skip the Marine. Is that something you regularly do with this build?
Yeah, I think so. It's if I'm not seeing anything irregular out of the Zerg, then Hellions usually are my first unit. I don't think the Marine does too much. If the Zerg's going for early roaches, well, my Marines aren't going to really help. So, um, yeah, I don't know, just something that I've worked in.
So the Zerg is going for 3 bases and early, getting a lot of queens, but it looks like this worker damage can do quite a lot here, because he only has these queens to defend. He's doing some good micro, but at the end of the day, he's going to lose quite a few drones. And he's got nothing to help him either.
Yeah, that's right. And, one of the best things about drones, probes, SCVs running away, they always get in a line. Exactly what Hellions are looking for, so.
Yeah, one thing to note if you ever are trying to deal with Hellion harassment is if you just click on your workers, hit stop, you can click idle drone, and the default binding is F1. So if you hit F1 right click, F1 F right click, over and over again, your drones will all go to different locations. And instead of lining up, which makes them very easy to pick off for Hellions, you just have them all scatter in different directions. That way your queens continue to do work on them, and they'll kill at most 1 drone at a time instead of killing many at a time.
Yeah, that's right. Especially with the queen range upgrade, it's definitely a lot harder. Like you said, when you split up your drones like that, Hellions can't really do as much damage. And people sometimes overlook that.
So we see your expansion just going up now, and you got a pre-igniter going, Blue Flame Hellions, and that's going to do a lot of damage because he is only producing lings at this time.
Yep, that's right.
Now, do you see varying reactions from Zergs on the ladder? Do you see they see 4 Hellions they want to go roaches, or do most people try to stick to lings?
You know what? I think I see roaches more often. I guess that's a pretty natural reaction. You look at Hellions, you're thinking, well, what counters Hellions? Well, roaches do, and you can use roaches for a lot of different ways. A lot of people might see Hellions and are thinking, well, Banshee might be coming, so while I have queens, I'm going to get my scores up. That defends against queens. Now my roaches can be used to pressure. So yeah, I think roaches are pretty common, but some people skip them, save the gas.
Absolutely. And if you had seen with your scouting Hellions a quick lair, how would you have reacted to maybe the possibility of mutas, or if you had not seen a third base, how would you change your build?
Yeah. So actually, right now I didn't see the third. I was surprised that the third was up that quickly. But I think you just kind of know the muta timing when it's going to come, and a lot of times with my build, I pretty much blindly defend against mutas, because that's one of the only things that can do a lot of damage to mech opening, especially if you don't get a Thor out for quite a while. But in general, right now, you kind of just have to know when mutas might come and hit you, and the times usually work out so that you can get some damage done and see what's up.
So we see double upgrades coming for the Zerg now. Probably gonna go in for that Infestor timing, and yep, there's the Infestor push coming down. Just trying to defend with Lings and Infestors, which can be really tough against mech, actually. I think that mech is extremely strong against that style most of the time, although Life's definitely shown us otherwise. Do you have any, what do you think works in your kind of play style with going heavy mech? What do you think strongest way to deal with it is?
Strongest way, I've died a couple of different ways. Early muta sometimes can do a lot of damage just because, like I was saying, it's hard to get those stores out. You have 4 production buildings, and you're not double producing Marines. So early mutas can do well. I've seen burrow roaches do really well, simply just because the tanks become neutralized. I mean, tanks do great against roaches, they do great against infestors, but if you're able to burrow, get under the tanks, well, their siege damage just splashes over the Terran units as well.
So we see the Zerg player going for a very early hive, considering, and I think, have you, let's see what your scouting looks like. You see the third. I'm guessing your timing push can come before this third finishes. Is that kind of what you aim for before the hive could complete?
Yeah, that's right, exactly. I mean, this push is generally a pretty strong one. I might have a third coming up afterwards, but yeah, it is in general trying to target pretty much any Zergs that, they're trying to rush to this really late game, great unit composition, Infestors, Blue Lords, those kind of things, and those are tough to deal with. So as Terran, you have to try to minimize that, try to slow them down, and take advantage of when they might be vulnerable.
So we see the total unit count for the Zerg. He's got 4 Infestors and quite a few Lings, but that's about it. And he's going to have to defend against a lot of mech coming across the board in just a second here. And I think it's maybe a little bit of a risk to try to get Hive off the 3 bases. That's kind of really committing to it. And if you have any sort of attack coming, your attack is not going to come in time. And I think kind of unusual for that reason. But so we have the attack coming from you now. You pulling about, let's see, we got 21 SCVs. Do you try to take a certain number every game, or just eyeball it?
Yeah, pretty much eyeball it. See across about two rows, so 16 plus a couple. But yeah, just enough to get good repair on the Thors. I mean, this is a really valuable army. It's hard to replace. So, like anything that's valuable, you don't want to lose easily. So.
Well, see, unfortunate fungal growth there on the Hellions, but. Looks like your SCVs are doing quite a lot of work here in repairing and taking damage. And that was all he had, actually. He had only those fungals, and he had only those infested Terran, and he's got nothing else to back it up. So...
yeah, I mean, it was just a good timing hit that, unfortunately, he wasn't able to break down the line, but he did do well in the engagement, I would say. He got the good fungal off on the Hellions, so then they couldn't do enough damage on the Lings. And then was able to cash the tanks pretty much on siege. The tanks were siege slightly late and a little bunched up. So yeah, but I would still say just, he didn't have enough of this. He tried to go for the Hive.
Absolutely. And I mean, like, he went for the Hive, and we noticed that he doesn't have any Hive units coming. He is not able to utilize the fact that he got such an early Hive. So I think, maybe going for a 4th faster, you have the production from that 4th anyways. If you're trying to find some way to use your extra mana. But we see the Zerg is actually floating quite a bit on minerals, going at 3,600 right now. So,
I would ask you, so he's at the Ling at my 3rd at the Terran 3rd. So is that something that, probably Zerg shouldn't be advised to do if they don't see a Terran going for the 3rd? Should they maybe not take the Hive that quickly, etc.?
No, absolutely not. I mean, really, if you got 3 bases against 2 bases, the only way you're going to lose is by some sort of push, right? I mean, you just have an extra, third of an economy, so, like, you just are going to be so far ahead as long as you just sit back. So I think the thing to do is probably take a 3rd or take a 4th and not saturate it very well. So you have an extra production building. You see the Zerg's biggest problem right now is just production. He doesn't have nearly enough for how much money he's making.
But I'll also just point out, if you go to his view, from Zerg's view, he doesn't have any scouting info. Other than, having a Ling at the 3rd, he doesn't know anything about my base. He knew I had an Expo coming up, but, throughout the game, Zerg's a lot, sacrifice the Overlord, the Overseer, fly across, just kind of get to know what the Terran's doing. And I think that's really helpful a lot of times when you're trying to stop a timing shift like this. Just to know when they're moving out, know what kind of units they're amassing. It's going to help you a great deal, knowing when to have to get units.
Absolutely, and I mean, just sending one overseer in to see how many factories they have, because knowing they're going mech is such a big difference between knowing what they're doing, like if they're just going tank marine. So it looks like that was a pretty well-handled game by you. We have 4-0 victory for Columbia total. Look at the bracket. We see Columbia getting all victory there, so good for our set differential. Good first match of the series, or the tournament. But, so everyone, thanks for tuning in. I think we're going to end it off here. And we'll see you next week.
Alright, great. Thanks, guys.